Welcome to Willoughby Council's Workstation Ergonomic Tutorial. The idea of today is to take you from having an average workstation to one that keeps you having good posture and takes the strain off from a musculoskeletal perspective. The purpose of the tutorial is to give you the principles of how to firstly assess and then adjust any workstation that may be allocated to yourself. Good ergonomics is ensuring that you set up your workstation in the most efficient way that prevents strain and injury. The recommended place to start with ergonomics is with your chair. If your chair is in the right position, you'll be supported and it'll help keep you upright during the workday. The less support you have, the more your body will fatigue and your posture will deteriorate during the workday. When adjusting the chair, we need to start with the backrest. Most people think the backrest angle is the only adjustment, but as you can see here, my backrest angle is actually quite good, but yet I'm getting no support in my back itself. This is because the lumbar support of the chair positioned over there is too low and needs to be much higher above my belt line. So by purely raising my backrest, you can see now I have adequate support in my lower back. So how do we do this? Willoughby Council have a number of different chairs available. Regardless of the chair that has been allocated to you, it is important to adjust the backrest of that chair so this lumbar support is positioned just above your belt line. There's two types of mechanisms. One is a rotating device or lever that you unlock. You then raise the backrest to the desired height where you may lock it back again. The second mechanism is a click mechanism. You work this one by taking the backrest of the chair and lifting upwards to the desired height. To reset the chair, you keep moving the chair upwards till the clicks end and the chair will then reset. The next thing to do is adjust the backrest angle. You don't want to have the angle at a position that forces you to slouch to reach that backrest. Rather, using the lever on the side of the chair, bring the backrest forward so that it's directly behind you in sitting up straight. This will stop you fatiguing during the day and maintain your posture upright. If you can't reach that handle comfortably while doing the maneuver, request assistance from a colleague. Now that we've adjusted the backrest height and the backrest angle, we should have the backrest directly behind myself with the backrest just above my belt line, so I have support while sitting. The next thing to basically then look for is to ensure your chair height in relation to the desk. The main common problem we tend to find is people having their chairs too low. If your elbows are positioned below the desk height, that'll predispose you to hunching your shoulders, which can cause pain, discomfort, or stiffness in your neck and shoulder area. Therefore, the important thing to do is raise the chair to the desired height by using the lever on the side of the chair. What you're looking for is when your shoulders are relaxed and pulled backwards, your forearm and elbow should be about 1 to 2 centimeters just above the desk surface. Now that we've adjusted the chair for the desk height, it's important to look at where we put our feet. Common problems we tend to find is people sitting with their legs tucked underneath them or with their legs sitting on the legs of the chair. This tends to predispose you to slouching. What we would recommend is for your feet to be flat on the floor. That helps to push your body up and maintains you in a more upright posture. If by adjusting your chair height for the desk, you no longer can touch the floor comfortably, we would recommend getting a footrest, which effectively brings the floor up to your feet and allows you to then push through your feet again to sit up straight. If you need a footrest, please speak to your supervisor. People often ask me about armrests on chairs. They don't tend to be recommended for two main reasons. One is people tend to have an unequal posture leaning to the side during the day. Secondly, the armrests tend to stop the chair going adequately under the desk, which can create obstructions. Now that we've adjusted the chair correctly, it's time to look at the keyboard and ensuring that's in the right position. As a physio, we tend to see a lot of people typing with their wrists leaning on the desk, and which predisposes their wrists to be in an extended position during the day. What that can do is cause compression of the carpal tunnel, which can cause pain in the wrist, tingling in the fingers, and because of that extended wrist position, you can get tennis elbow and strain in the forearm. To try and counteract that, what we'd recommend is ensuring that the large legs of the keyboard are retracted. This will keep the keyboard relatively flat, and because of now the new chair height, we want you to float over the keys rather than lean on your wrists while you're basically typing. Now that we've adjusted the keyboard, we want to look at our mouse. It's important to have our elbow by our side. Where our hand falls, that's where we should be using the mouse. We tend to find a lot of people, as the day goes by, the mouse tends to slowly creep further and further backwards, and what tends to happen with that, your body tends to follow into a slouch position. If you tend to have that as a habit, it may be worthwhile bringing your mouse into the correct position and using something to help block that mouse moving backwards as a reminder. If you're finding you're using a task that has a lot of more mouse work than keyboard work, it may be of benefit to move your keyboard more to the left so that your mouse is more directly in your front of your shoulder, which makes it more ergonomic. If your job involves a lot of mousing, you may also look at trying to alternate your mouse between your right and your left hand, just to try to distribute that load between both arms. There's a lot more information in the council's intranet that'll explain how to use the mouse on the left. The next thing we look at is setting up the monitor. What we find as common mistakes is either the monitor being too low or being too far away. Think of yourself reading a magazine. We don't tend to read it like that. We tend to read it here, which tends to be the more comfortable distance our eyes focus at. If we have a monitor that is too far away, our eyes will fatigue during the day, and therefore as that fatigue happens, our posture will slowly deteriorate for our eyes to reach that more natural viewing distance. Whatever this distance is, that tends to be what you need to do to bring your screen towards you, and we tend to find that's 1 arm's length away. Now that we've got the monitor approximately 1 arm's length away, we need to make sure that that monitor is the right height for the eyes. If the monitor is too low, you'll basically be sitting with your neck slouched throughout the day. The recommended height is at the top of the monitor should be at eye level. So ideally I'd be doing that by raising up my screen. If you're unable to raise that screen high enough, please speak to your supervisor about acquiring a monitor stand to assist with the height. Looking at the telephone, there's 2 common problems we tend to find. The cradling of a telephone between your ear and your shoulder create a lot of problems with neck stiffness, pain and discomfort. We'd always recommend rather to hold the phone directly against your ear with your hand. We also see a lot of people overreaching to reach the telephone. We'd always recommend the telephone and other commonly used desk items to be close enough that you can reach to it without fully extending your elbow. If you use the mouse on the right hand side, we'd always recommend having your telephone on the left. This allows you to grab the telephone handset and still allow your right hand to mouse. However, if you are on the telephone a lot during the day and you are using the mouse and keyboard a lot while on the telephone, it would be recommended to speak to your supervisor to see if a headset would be of assistance. For setting up a laptop, there's 2 methods we tend to use. One is if you have a docking station, you would obviously then have an external monitor, keyboard and mouse, and you use the ergonomic adjustments we've just discussed to set it up. However, you may have a laptop that only then has an external mouse and a keyboard, and you would have to then look at ensuring that the top of the screen is at eye level to make sure your posture remains correct. If the laptop is too low, the predisposition is for you to basically look downwards completely and slouch while you're on the laptop. So what you would have to do is raise it onto a platform, bring that top of the screen to eye level, and then have the external mouse and the external keyboard to then be in the correct position. We would not recommend that you use the keyboard of the laptop in this position. Obviously you may use your laptop at home. We'd always recommend that you set up your keyboard or your laptop correctly at home as well, and therefore using the laptop on your lounge or in bed is not usually recommended. You may be required to sit at your desk for prolonged periods. The research is indicating that static postures, both sitting or standing, is detrimental to our health. The new recommendations is to be as dynamic or as active as you can throughout the entire day to maintain your health. Therefore, use strategies to get you up from your desk. This could be printing at a printer a couple of cubicles away. It could be going up and speaking to a colleague rather than emailing or phoning them. At lunchtime and tea time, don't sit at your desk, get up and go for a walk around. If you're reading a document, maybe stand up and read the document. The key is we need you to be proactive. If you have to use either a reminder on your computer, via your watch, or via your phone, whatever works for you, just remind yourself that at least every 45 to 60 minutes, you need to get up out of the chair and move. Now that we have finished the ergonomic tutorial, please go on the intranet and complete the ergonomic self-assessment checklist. If there are any issues that are identified during this checklist, please discuss that with your supervisor. Please see the intranet for additional ergonomic information.